and welcome to this week's episode of Chatting with Chip with Barton College football head coach Chip Hester. I am Wilson Times sports editor Paul Durham, and Coach, gotta face it straight away this morning. First loss of the season Saturday at Mars Hill, a tough game, 16-14. Bulldogs came out on the short end of that one. Had a lead at one point and just could not score in the second half. Having had a few days to ruminate and digest it, I just want to get your thoughts because it seemed like there were two things going on. You guys could not move the ball on offense second half. And then just sort of keeping them at bay, I guess, on defense, which you did a good job of. 3 field goals, not 3 touchdowns,
right. Absolutely.
Could not keep them from scoring when it came down to it. Just want to get your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, it's a whole lot more fun to win than lose. That's for sure. Losing is tough. It's not fun. And I think the thing that we've got to do is give Mars Hill a lot of credit. That's a good football team. They're well coached. They've got a lot of experience, especially on defense. 8 out of 11 guys that are starting on defense are seniors or grad students. So they did a really nice job. They're tough up front. We lost the rushing battle by a large margin. I think that's a huge statistic for us. We weren't able to run the ball like we need to be able to run it, and they were. And I think that's the big difference. We had a time, when you look back, you go, there's some key moments in the ball game, and we get it down and get into a short yardage situation and don't score and turn it over on downs. That's a big one. And then going back and looking back, probably should have just taken the 3 points and rolled on. But I felt like we needed to score a touchdown there. And then the other one, they had a couple of big third down conversions. Instead of getting off the field, they convert, and we are able to hold them to field goals. But they had a 3rd and 23 that they
23.
That's one that just you hate to see it. But
probably woken up screaming at night since thinking about that.
Right. Having said that, they're a good football team. Did we play as well as we would like to? No, we didn't. And hopefully we can learn from it. Hopefully we can move forward. This league, you and I have talked about it many times. It is tough, and I think, and I still believe it today, that we can beat any team on our schedule. But the other part of that is any team on our schedule can beat us as well. And so that's why it's so important to play for that game in that situation to the best of your abilities, because it's tough to win in the South Atlantic Conference.
Yeah, Coach, it was definitely a game, and we talked. Mars Hill, it seems like it really has y'all's number. 3 straight wins. This was the closest y'all have gotten to them, but they are just a tough nut to crack for y'all, and I don't know what it is, other than maybe because you guys are very similar as far as what you do on offense, but they really shut you guys down defensively. What have you learned a little bit more about that? Because you know what's coming. I know they loaded the box.
Sure.
And it's just a numbers game at that point. You got to be able to figure some other things out that you could have done differently. Obviously, trying to throw the ball. Jaquan Lynch had a good day throwing the ball. He really did. He didn't. The only problem really with him was he got sacked, including that one sack, dropped the ball.
Yeah.
That was the difference. You guys did not. They had somebody watching him, Jaquan.
Absolutely.
You guys kind of let J.R. Martin go a little bit, and I think that he took advantage of what you gave him. I think he took off one time on about a 30-yard run, and nobody even looked at him for the first 10 yards.
Yeah, I thought their quarterback's play was the difference in the ball game,
right.
And he was able to make some big plays. That's part of our defensive scheme, and we've been able to hurt people, on our side. With Jaquan taking off and running, if a team is in man coverage, if you're in man coverage, if you break those initial rushers, the heads are facing the receivers, and so they're running downfield, and that guy's the quarterback's taking off. So I thought he did a nice job. He broke a couple of tackles and ran the ball well, and had some good throws in there as well too. So. They're just a good football team. There's a reason they played for the Mountain Championship last year. I think they'll be picked to win it again this year. But the team that they're probably up against, their toughest competition for the Mountain Championship will be the team that we're playing this week in Tusculum. very similar, very high pressure defense. They put a lot of people in the box, and so you've got to be able to hurt them in the passing game. I think this past week we did some damage in the passing game, but we missed on a couple things that we need to have, and one was a sack. We've got a guy open. He didn't have time. Another time we just missed by a couple of inches. Cameron Johnson's got a post, and it was close, but close doesn't count. So there's some things we can learn from. I think our guys are in a good place. Young people are resilient. They're probably more resilient than their coaches, but I think we'll respond to it. I think that's what we've got to do, and that's part of playing sports. If you play long enough, you're going to have some disappointments, and hopefully you have more of those times where you're celebrating. And we've been able to experience both this year, and we sure like celebrating a whole lot more than losing.
Yeah, and the stats, if you look at the stats, they had 400 some rushing. I mean, they dominated. They had 5 minutes more possession. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at this game, and one way that I think you definitely need to look at it is you guys probably shouldn't have even been in that game statistically, and yet you really had chances to win. That's a positive to take from it, that you can really play not great and still, be in a battle. And I'm sure Morris Hill's probably thinking, man, we didn't play that great either, but they got the win. You guys didn't.
I think when you've got two teams, and I still think we're a good football team. I think
you are.
I think we are, and I know they are. I've got no question in my mind. They're going to be someone to contend with throughout the whole year this year. But our guys competed. At no point did we have guys giving up or giving in and things like that. And some days things are going to go really smoothly. Some days they're not, and you've got to find ways to get yourself in position to win in the fourth quarter, and we were in position. We just didn't quite make enough plays, and when it's all said and done, you got to make enough plays to win. And obviously we look back and we study the film, but at this point we've got to put it in the rearview mirror and worry about the next one, because hopefully the lessons we learn we can use and apply going forward, but it doesn't get any easier.
No, and this has been a tough set. You mentioned Tusculum. You guys are headed to Greeneville, Tennessee on Saturday. This has been a tough little stretch for you guys. You have lost 2 straight years to now 3 straight years to Mars Hill, and followed that with a loss to Tusculum. Again, last 2 years, those were both games that you guys, could have won if you had a few plays go differently. It's definitely not, you got blown out. So I guess these have sort of been circled. You know what's coming. You got Newberry, you got Lenore Ryan. You'll deal with them on your own time. But right now, you got Tusculum. Thoughts on how you're going to, like you said, they're very similar. It's almost like carbon copy the last 2 years with the coaches. And now you're going to face them again. And, you don't want to say you got to have a must win, but you guys need to win this game. You need to get back on the track. If you're going to have the season that you want to have, you got to play well, you got to win. So what are your thoughts going into this week's game?
Well, it's about matchups, and I think you're right. Some teams, some schemes, we probably match up a little better than in others, and so in those that you don't match up quite as well, you got to find a way to get an edge. And so that this week our coaches are working extremely hard to try to find a little edge, find a little wrinkle that might make the difference. But again, when it comes down to it, we've got to find ways, and our guys have got to make plays. So those are the kind of 2 things that are on my mind. How can we as coaches put our guys in the best position to be successful? And then when it comes down to it, you got to make plays on Saturdays. And so, you've got to, when you have opportunities to make catches, you got to make catches or make throws or make runs or break tackles or make tackles. So it's a team effort. I think you and I talked on Saturday afternoon. Although this team might have done something well here or there or whatever, but we didn't play particularly well as a team, and I think we could play better on offense, defense, and special teams, and that's what we've got to do if we're going to beat Tusculum. And I think that same kind of formula for us it's gonna be the same thing the week after and the week after and the week after. We've got to play up to a really high standard if we're going to expect to win in this league.
Well, and Tusculum too. Going back historically, Marseille, same thing. They much more success this time than the past two with Jordan. They're going to focus on him, and he definitely has not had his best rushing days against Tusculum. Again, you're facing that situation. You guys have been dealing with that for 3 years, ever since he really started taking off. You're going to face defenses that are going to load up and try to take away what you want to do.
Absolutely.
And then it's just a matter of finding those wrinkles, completing those extra passes. Do you guys feel like you just were not getting enough passes completed Saturday to really – they never stopped loading the box?
Yeah, I don't think we hurt them enough,
Right.
and so I think that's the key there. You've got to hit on some big plays if you're gonna. And again, if people are gonna do that, they're gonna be high pressure and putting a lot of guys in the box. That means you're gonna get some one-on-ones, and we had some one-on-ones. But in order to do that, your quarterbacks and receivers have got to. They've got to be able
Right.
to connect. And then we had, I think, 3 sacks, which are, that's a lot for our guys.
Yeah. Well, they weren't letting him go anywhere.
No,
Jaquan.
no,
They were keeping him under wraps. And that's the other thing, too, with your running game. If you don't pay attention to him, he'll really hurt you.
Absolutely.
And they made sure that the run game wasn't going to hurt them on Saturday.
Yeah. Again, impressive team, experienced defenders. You weren't going to trick them a lot. And I think, as we look, we've been going back and watching film on Tusculum from several years ago, and they've got a lot of the same guys playing. They got the same corners they've played with for several years, and on the defensive front, they've got the same guys playing up front. So this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be a challenge. This will test our mental toughness and our physical toughness. We've got some. It's the middle of the season and it's football, so you're going to have guys banged up. So other guys have got to step up and kind of increase what they're doing. And then, having said that, you've got to stay within yourself, and we've got to do what we've got to do, and do it to a high standard. If we're going to win, that's the difference between winning and losing. Both of the teams we played last week and this week over the last couple of years, they've been. We've lost in a couple of years in a row to these guys, but they've been close, and I think we're right there. But we've got to execute a little bit better. We've got to coach a little bit better. I've got to get the guys ready to play a little bit better, and so we've started that this week, and we'll continue to try to hammer out the details, and then we want to make sure that our minds are right, that we're in the right kind of frame of mind when we kick off at 2:00 on Saturday.
Well, speaking of that, how have the guys responded to that first loss so far?
So far, so good. We've had really good practices so far, and I've got a lot of respect for the leaders that we've got in place, and I think that they'll rise to the occasion, and I think they're gonna get our best shot this week, and I think that's all we can ask for as coaches is to, for our guys to give great effort, to have the great attitude, and to compete, and so that's what we're talking about this week. I've brought out the Pete Carroll quotes this week. He talks about always competing, and you don't just compete on game day. You've got to compete on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And what does that mean? That means practicing at a level that's extremely high, and it means studying film. And I talk to the guys about being the best student that they can be, and not being lax, and being on top of all aspects, and have that mentality and to have that kind of standard as how they go about their business on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to brush your teeth, wash behind your ears, do it all right, and get back on the right path.
That's right.
Well, Coach, we're going to be back in here next Tuesday, as always, for our Chatting with Chip. We're going to talk about Tusculum. Hopefully, you guys are going to go up there and get a win, and then the following week, you come back to Truist for a big game. They're all big games at this point. Who are we kidding? But it is against Newberry, defending conference champion. Team that was picked to win it all, but we know those preseason polls don't matter in the South Atlantic Conference. This conference is up for grabs.
Oh, absolutely.
You guys are one of the teams with your hands out trying to grab it. And that's a good thing, because I don't think you guys were at that spot 3 years ago as a new team. So it's an exciting time for Barton football, and we'll be back here next week with Chatting with Chip.